I just sat down with Martin Ispanic. He's one of the best media buyers I've ever seen. He's spent over $150 million on Facebook. He's worked with brands like Vessi Footwear, took Audit from 4 to 250 million, and today he's unlocking all the secrets. He's giving us all the source on how he structures ad accounts, what he's seeing in terms of offers that's working in the market, and giving you the creative strategy blueprint to make you succeed in 2025. So stay around to the end. He gives us everything. He's left nothing out. This is the banger. Martin, you're spending what, 5 million a month on Facebook?
4 to 5 a month, something like that, yeah.
So tell us, what are you seeing in the ad accounts these days? What's the source? What should people at home be implementing in the ad account? How do you think about the account structure? Let's just start there.
Yeah, so realistically, product, offer, creative, they have way bigger impact on the performance than the media buying. But once you have those three sorted, then the media buying again has the big difference, because let's say you're spending 500K, you have ROAS of 2. I come in, I improve your results just by 10%. That's ROAS of 2.2. That's extra 100K in your pocket just from media buying.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what level you are. If you're spending 2K a day, probably ABO or CBO would not make a difference compared whether you're spending more, when the media buying again has a big difference.
So like if you're just starting an ad account, what's the kind of structure that you recommend? If you're spending, let's say 3 to 5K a day.
Yeah, realistically, you just need one ABO
One ABO.
testing campaign, where each of the tests is a new ad set. So let's say a week we are testing 5 concepts. I would have 5 different ad sets. Each concept is a new ad set with multiple variation of each creative, because the goal is to find a winning variation within the concept, not the ultimate winning ad.
Yeah.
Because the more small winners compound, you're actually getting the scale. And obviously this makes sense if your hit rate is high enough. So to have a higher hit rate, you need to do a proper research. You can go to Atrias, buy your competitors, check their landing pages, do the customer avatars, and there's so much in the back end. Media buying is just a cherry on the top. It's an amplifier.
So where do you suggest to put, like, a lot of people struggle, I think, with their resources, right? They're starting a brand, they don't know where to put their time, their energy, the resources into. From that 0 to maybe, let's say, 100K a month spend, is it focusing just on creatives only? Would you be testing how many creatives a week, and how would you think through that?
Yeah, but I would probably focus on the offer testing, because nothing else makes sense unless the offer converting. You can test 100 ads a week. If you don't have an offer that's converting, new ads is not going to help. So probably I will try to have the offer that would maximize my input as on the creative side. Whether it's like buy one get one, it depends whether your margins can support it. Is whether it's like buy 2 get 1, whether it's like price anchoring, but that definitely has the biggest impact. We had one client where when we changed the offer, hit rate of the new test went from 2 to 10 to 6 to 10, just because like the offer was better. So it wasn't meaning like, hey, the creatives were bad. It was actually offer that was bad that wasn't allowing this test to work.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I think in 2025, a lot of people are blaming Facebook for a lack of performance and stuff like that, although that might be slightly true, but I think there's a bigger macro problem out there. And it seems like offers help solve that macro problem. If you can create an irresistible offer and give someone more of a reason to buy, then they're more likely to take the money out of their pocket. But I think brands aren't going hard enough in terms of their offers, and that's where they're seeing,
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I was just chatting to a couple of guys here, whoever is in beauty, skincare, they had terrible June.
Yeah.
So the reality is you cannot beat the seasonality.
Yeah.
You have to try to make it to minimize the losses, or like to maximize, focus more on the profit instead of growth, depending what your goal is. I still have some brands that were like, hey, let's just keep spending because I'm first in the market, I want to keep that position. On the other side, there's a brands, okay, like I don't care about growth, I just need profit.
Yeah. So in terms of the offer structure, what are you seeing that's working the best, and how would you suggest that the audience goes about testing those offers? I think you touched on one point before around the margin expectation, and I think what I've been coaching people in the Ecom architects is to do price elasticity tests a lot and see if you can demand a higher price. If you demand a higher price, you have more margin, which then allows you to do these BOGOs and do these offers. But the problem is that people always race to the bottom. They think that if I'm cheaper, then I'll be able to convert more customers. And it's just an easier way to market and try and get consumers to buy. But ultimately, I think it makes it a lot harder for you down the track.
I mean, whatever you're gonna do, make sure you test it. Usually intelligence is pretty good for offer testing, because It gives you not only conversion rate and AOV, but it gives you revenue per visitor and most important, profit per visitor. Because we did the test where we increased the prices, conversion rate did not drop so much. So basically we had better results than for our original pricing. Then we decreased the price even more than the original pricing, but the conversion rate skyrocketed so much that we actually made more money with a lower AOV. Like, how are you gonna calculate that if you're not gonna test it? So definitely, whatever you do, make sure that you split test, that you're getting the same link and the same traffic, and it's just tested in the backend.
Yeah, and I think an important part to note is around what metric they are actually tracking, because conversion rate is a useless metric, right? It's profit per user that you really want to nail down, and seeing which offers give you the most profit per user. And that's why you need something like intelligence where you can calculate your cost of goods with the price point, and yeah, that's how you
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Now we covered all the backend stuff. Let's jump into the ad account.
Okay, I can give this.
So I'm a fan of ABO testing. As I mentioned, I want each of the concept to get a fair chance of success.
Yeah.
And this works if you have enough high hit rate. If I get only 1 out of 10 winners, then I would be losing so much money in my testing. So in those cases, I suggest to clients, or what I do CBO with minimum budget. Okay, let Facebook do the thing, but I put minimum spend towards each of the concept. Let's say $10. I still want to get some data. And then that way I'm protecting, it's a mix between the ABO and a regular CBO. I'm protecting the margins, but I'm still getting a fair chance of these new tests. So that's kind of in terms of the testing. If your hit rate is high, then I prefer ABO because the winners pay for losers. Because me individually scaling 3-4 individual winners makes up for the test that I'm turning off soon because they are bad. So it also depends how hard do you want to be involved in the ad account. You know, CBO is like letting Facebook do the work. Yeah. But sometimes Facebook would spend on the ad that has the highest click-through rate or the highest thumbs up ratio because it's getting the engagement there, although it's not a sign of high performance. So it really depends in what stage you are, what's your hit rate. That's my kind of like my main metric when deciding what approach of testing I'm gonna do.
All right, that makes sense. So we've nailed off the back end, right? The offers. Now you're done talking about account structure. Last is creatives, right?
Yeah.
So we internally, we have that spherical scaling system, which we speak about. Maybe talk to the audience a bit about that and how important that is in 2025 to scale your Facebook ad account, because creative is the new targeting. People have been saying this for fucking years, but no one's really operationalized it in a way. Like, how do you go about actually taking actions and behaviors towards doing that in the ad account so you can scale?
Yeah, so Facebook told us creative has 56% impact on the performance of the ad. So I don't care about ad copy, I don't care about headline, I don't care about call to action, I care about creatives. So that's first thing. So we always testing with one ad copy, one headline, one landing page, and just variations of the creatives. Okay, then Facebook told us that after fourth impression, chance of people converting goes down more than 46%. So that means, okay, you need diversification and you need volume, because the reality is the more shots you have, the more winners you'll get. Angle is doing the targeting in a way that when you present it in a hook, for example, are you traveling abroad? Do you want a glowy skin? Do you have problem with marionette lines? It does the targeting because people that are subconsciously replying yes to that question in your hook, they're more inclined to watch the video. When they watch the video, Facebook know, okay, hey, people that are into traveling, they're interested in these products, so Facebook knows that, like, okay, we need travelers to serve this ad. How to go is in terms of the scaling. So reality is your TAM is one big pie, and there are different angles that you can hit them. Anti-aging, anti-acne, Botox, marionette lines. So within each angle, you have 5 levels of awareness. It doesn't make sense to showcase the benefits to someone who doesn't know that even has a problem. So that way, you want to have different content pieces that are resonating with each level of awareness. How are you gonna do that? It depends on your style of the ad. For example, VSL is gonna do top of the funnel. UGC mashup is gonna do bottom of the funnel. Image with an offer is gonna do bottom of the funnel. No matter the exclusions, no matter the audience you put, you cannot scale with that image because it's not doing top of the funnel. And if you focus too much on the images, you'll get to the point there's no top of the funnel, and you're not really getting new people, and you're just like exhausted that audience. So you need a healthy mix. I like to focus more on top of the funnel because I can convert bottom of the funnel, middle of the funnel anytime.
Yeah, that makes sense. But what you're talking about, it's like there's a lot of options there, right? and it might be overwhelming someone, especially
Yeah.
just starting out. So how would you go about tackling that whole thing? Because when you try and break that down, and I think our philosophy in house is that, we want to try and create super hyper diverse niche ads, talking to someone really, really specifically. Because,
Yeah.
as for example, if you're, and a mentor of mine, Jason Horning, told me this like 10 years ago. When you have a foot problem, you might identify that as a toe problem or a heel problem and stuff like that. So different words that he said triggers people different reactions. So then you have acne as an issue. You have hormonal acne, you have acne scars, you have ice pick acne.
Yeah.
Then you have women, you have men, it's huge.
Yeah, so your best guess is to either focus on customer avatars or the angles. In tools like Atria, you can like download all of your customer reviews. You upload it, and it gives you a list. Hey, like people are buying because of this, because of this. So your best guess is to go after the things that your people are already buying for. That's your like biggest chance of success. That's your biggest market. So okay, you want to emphasize that in your ad. It's not important what you think is important about your product. It's important what your customers think is important about your product. And when you like use specific phrases, for example, we had a client that was selling buy one get one glasses, and we realized a lot of people are buying like in reality you don't need two sunglasses, but people are saying, hey, I'm buying this for me and my mother, I'm buying this for myself and my daughter. So we started using that messaging, and the performance skyrocketed. So basically, when you understand who you are selling and why you are selling, you have the best chances of success, and that probably should be your first step in terms of creating the ads. You can go with images with just a different text overlays.
Yeah.
When you get traction there, you go into UGC mashups, where you create just a different B-rolls. When you're talking about acne, you're going to showcase person about acne, and you're going to have a hook about the acne. When you see that's working, you're going to take the script and you're going to give it to the creators. When that works, you're going to take that angle and then you're going to put it on the landing page. So that way you're going to have congruency from the static to the video to the landing page, and ultimately it's all about that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you identified a clear process for everyone. You've given them the playbook in terms of the back ends, focus on offers, the account structure, now the creative testing structure. And I think one thing we maybe didn't touch on is that when to scale out different creatives and when not to. A lot of people are iterating and making these small iterations, but we don't do that anymore because it's a waste of time, energy, resources. Our iterations come in new formats, right? So we will take an existing script that's working well, the existing demographic. Let's say, it's a teenage girl with hormonal acne and she's maybe Caucasian. We might go create the same content, winning script, but, in a more ethnic woman or of an Asian woman, then maybe a black girl or something like that. And that's how we start scaling out the same concept. Then we might go to green or podcast style.
The thing is that, like, especially after Andromeda, where Facebook said, like, hey, like, we don't want you to do this, like, small iteration. In Facebook eyes, it's the same content.
Yeah.
We need you to do the creative diversification. That's exactly what we are doing. Like, gone are the days when you're gonna, like, tweak the hook and, like, just get a new performer. Like, in a few months, I did not get an iteration to actually beat the original with this type of content. So we definitely stopped doing that. But what you said, when you have a winning script, you're going to give it to the older lady, you're going to give it to the man, you're going to give it to the Asian guy. That's how you're going to diversify. And you're going to take that same angle and going to do it in street style interview. You're going to do it in like podcast style. You're going to do it in authority. So you're amplifying by angles and you're amplifying by customer persona.
Yeah, love that. And that's when people ask, like, what's the split between iterations and swings where, at the moment, where I think it's a complete waste of money for the iteration, unless you're doing it like you did. But they're not taking bigger swings now because that's going to move the account. Not so much,
I mean, the thing is, like, sometimes you're afraid to do bigger swings because, like, you're afraid it's not going to work. So I'm going to waste a lot of budget for an angle that doesn't make sense and it's not proven. And it's hard to, like, get that angle to work. But eventually you'll have to do it. And obviously it doesn't make sense for you to go for the angle that's like your fifth most frequent one because you're not going to be able to scale it. But you still want to be intentional who you go after and how, with which angle.
Yeah, and I think a good process that anyone can follow without a budget is start with images. Then you can upgrade to potentially something like Arc Ads. UGC AI. Some people are against using their brands. If you're against using your brand, set up a third-party page that's not coming from your brand's page. that's a good consequential step where you can test creatives, and then when you go into creating a full-blown creative, you have some sort of data whether it's working or not, right?
Yeah, I mean, you laid it out perfectly, so I have nothing else to add here.
Is there anything else that you think you can mention that will help people out?
So yeah, probably cost caps. It's a big controversy in the DTC space. People some people like preaching to use it on the whole ad account. Some people are like, hey, this is the best thing that Facebook gave us. Honestly, I don't think that Facebook can determine the winner without even serving an impression, without like spending like $5 and like, hey, it's not gonna spend. But I love them for scaling, especially with winners only. So basically, when I get a couple of winners from testing, I put them into one big Advantage Shopping Plus with a cost cap, and I set a target, and I put inflated budget, let's say 30K. I have even one brand that's like set 100K, and it just spends more when it can spend more. So on a Tuesday, the spend would be 2-3K. On a weekend, it would be 30K, just because there's more people on the phone, conversion rate is higher, people are more into buying mode on a weekend, because even when we don't scale on a weekend, we see higher revenue days. Okay, so we want to capitalize on that. So this way, instead of me trying to understand how much I can scale on a weekend, should I increase budget from 5K to 6K or to 10K or to 15K? This way Facebook does the scaling for me, and it descales on Monday. So we actually leverage that weekend scaling.
It's like AI weekends surfing.
Yeah, we can serve scaling, yeah.
So where can people find you? I know you do audits for a lot of people if they're spending at least 100K a month or more.
Yeah, so I'm most active on Twitter, so you can just reach out there. I have a link where you can request audit if you're interested in working with us. If on the other side you're just like, hey, I need specific questions, then we can do a consulting call, and that's probably the best way. I pretty much reply to all of my Twitter messages unless like you're trying to sell me some SaaS.
And you also mentor the Ecom architects, so you guys are seeing me there if you're a part of that money.
Yeah, exactly. So
Thank you.
I did love like everything that I know I put into this course. It's like almost 6 hours of content, and you get it just like for what, $500. You get full course and access to me on a weekly call. So if you're interested and if you're serious about growing your brand, then Ecom Architect is a place to be.
It's a no-brainer. Get coached by is the best. All right, everyone. See you guys in the next one.